Well, a couple of things. First of all, whose balls is he hiding in his cheeks?
Yeah.
That's the first question I want to know. And I don't love the way he says, fierce.
Yeah.
Bullshit is that? No, you don't, sir. We don't lie about military service we didn't actually perform, like going to war. We don't steal valor by saying that we had a higher rank in the National Guard. And my husband said he looks like Elmer Fudd. That's what he looks like, Elmer Fudd. Like there's something.
Imagine this for a second. Tim Walz suddenly finds himself in the crosshairs of two heavy hitters. On one side, you've got Megyn Kelly, cool, sharp, and famous for her brutal takedowns. On the other, there's Tyrus, a human wrecking ball whose microphone feels less like a prop and more like a weapon. Watching them go after him together feels like seeing two master comedians roast someone who honestly thought he was walking into a friendly bake sale, not a full-blown ambush. You'll laugh, you'll wince, and by the end of it, you might seriously wonder if Walz should look into witness protection, because the blows come fast, loud, and without mercy. This stops being politics real quick. What you're watching is pure comedy in sharp suits, and it hits harder than most late-night jokes ever do.
Is deeply part of it. That's one of the, I think it goes, and you can look at the reasons why we've had this sort of dialectic over the Me Too movement.
He's fighting.
And well, this
I think I think most of their.
What he's mad about is his own fault. He's mad about the image that was portrayed of him as the hunter. And who did that? You did that. We just laughed about it because the one thing you can't do is you can't front. You can't floss. Those are two key words when it comes to manhood. You can't pretend to be.
You're definitely not going to want to miss this moment, so hit that like button and subscribe because things heat up fast. Before the conversation even has time to settle, Tyrus doesn't walk in calmly. He comes charging in like a former wrestler who just spotted a fully loaded buffet and knows exactly where he's going. And his target isn't some nervous intern or rookie staffer, it's Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota himself. Walz probably woke up expecting a routine day in Midwest politics. Cut a ribbon, shake a few hands, and maybe drop a cheesy dad joke to keep things light. Instead, he steps straight into a verbal crossfire between Tyrus and Megyn Kelly, two sharp talkers who use opinions the way top chefs use razor-sharp knives, cutting straight through the moment and tossing him into a full-blown roast battle.
To Tim Walz, who, just when you think no one's sitting at this table, neither she nor the big white blanket, can embarrass themselves any further, he does. She asks him, to her credit, about the carrying the weapons in war, which we know is a lie. He never served in war. He's been stealing valor for quite some time. And take a listen to this.
Said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing uniform.
You could almost hear Tim Walz's carefully polished public image cracking in real time. This is a guy who tries hard to balance being a serious governor with the charm of a friendly small-town coach. The type who yells encouragement from the sidelines while awkwardly fumbling his clipboard like it has a mind of its own. He's often painted as the regular, everyday guy who somehow wandered into the governor's office by accident, giving off the vibe of someone who just wanted to help out but suddenly found himself running an entire state without ever planning on it.
Yeah. A teacher snatches the bully's ass up. Yeah. Come sit with me. That's why I know someone's bullying. Oh, you can sit with me for a while. And then I would lean on him. I'd bully him back. He's not a teacher. He's not a politician. He's a creepy guy who can't remember.
Tyrus wasn't buying the image Tim Walz was trying to sell, not even for a second. To him, it felt like strange energy wrapped in a corny presentation. Almost like Walz came off less as a governor and more like a substitute gym teacher who wandered into the wrong meeting and somehow started signing off on state budgets by mistake. But Megyn Kelly wasn't there just to crack jokes. She jumped in with the focus of someone who'd been waiting all week for a shaky alibi to fall apart in court. She sliced straight through Walz's contradictions with total confidence, proving she could dismantle a reputation in high heels, acting as the sharp scalpel to Tyrus's heavy-hitting hammer.
English, my grammar's not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog.
This took chutzpah. Let's go through it. You said you carried weapons in war, but you've never deployed in a war zone. Campaign official of yours said you misspoke. Did you? Well, I'm proud, incredibly proud of my record. He keeps doing this. Equally proud of my service in the class. Did I mention I was a teacher and a coach, an assistant coach, okay, whatever. But he's more stolen valor. In the classroom, I'm in the classroom. My record speaks for itself. It doesn't actually. You've put a lot of lies into that record that you've been called out on by
And poor Tim Walz ended up looking like someone bragging about acing a test, only to find out later it was graded on a curve and he barely scraped by, if he passed at all. But let's rewind for a moment, because Tyrus and Megyn weren't roasting him at random. They treated him like a lukewarm casserole everyone keeps pretending is amazing when it's really not. So, who is this guy and why does he attract so much attention? Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, is a politician, a former football coach, and a former teacher. It's a resume that looks relatable on a campaign poster but reads more like the opening of a sitcom about a coach who accidentally stumbles into politics. For years, he's leaned hard into the everyman image, using corny lines, small-town charm, and endless flannel shirts as part of the act. The trouble starts when that friendly image runs into real policy. Suddenly, the cracks begin to show. And in Walz's case, those cracks look like they were drawn with a thick marker. His pandemic record only added fuel to the fire, something Tyrus found almost funny, like watching a coach yell at his team to run faster without ever pointing out where the end zone actually is. A lot of tough talk, but not much direction.
Water in that White House, or was everyone on the same bad cocaine? But Kamala can't speak, he can't speak. Biden was so high he couldn't remember anything. Like, this is literally the dumbest administration of all time. Why is he talking?
It really is the ultimate clown show. And I said this in the pod. He's a clown without a circus.
He doesn't even need makeup.
He's roaming the terrain. Is there some carnival?
Then things really blew up in his own backyard when the George Floyd protests erupted, putting Minnesota right in the global spotlight. This was Tim Walz's moment to show strong leadership. Instead, people watched a governor bounce back and forth between hesitation and overreaction. It felt like a driver hitting the gas at a red light, then slamming the brakes when it finally turns green. The result was political whiplash in real time, leaving everyone unsure of what was coming next. And Tyrus didn't hold back on Walz's approach to education either. Walz loves reminding people that he's an educator, the classroom guy, the coach with heart, and the man who cares deeply about kids. He fully leans into that tough but caring coach image, walking around like he's leading a team toward victory, which honestly makes the situation even more ironic. Because when it comes time to make real decisions, he pushes policies that leave people wondering if he ever bothered to read his own playbook at all.
clarify, as your campaign had tried to do, and now you appear to be distancing yourself from that clarification. And then here's two pieces of this that are really, I speak like they do. People are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about, and then he goes on to blame it on the school shootings. I guess he was upset about school shootings, so he lied. But stop saying you speak like we do. I speak like regular people.
Megyn Kelly didn't waste a second pointing out the cracks in Tim Walz's everyman image, tearing it apart with sharp, precise hits. She called out how he claims to stand with regular people, yet makes choices that end up hurting those same people the most. It's like a lifeguard bragging about saving swimmers, then tossing them a concrete block instead of a life jacket. That's why the tag team roast from Tyrus and Megyn hit so hard. They were just poking fun at his policies. They were taking apart the entire image he built. The slogans, the staged photo ops, the flannel shirts, and the friendly smile routine all start to collapse the moment you look a little closer. Supporters say he's progressive, compassionate, and pushing Minnesota forward. But that shine fades fast once the spin is peeled away. It's like buying a flashy new car that looks amazing in the driveway but breaks down every other week, leaving you calling for help more often than actually driving it.
I feel bad for Elon. I would be furious if I was him. If this is who you sent to troll me? Like, what am I doing wrong to get the guy from D Team to come out at Family Theater and call me names? Like, Tim, I would, if they were like, oh, Tyrus, man, tough news cycle. Tim Walz is talking about you. I'd be like...
The most surprising part is that Tim Walz isn't just a local name anymore. He's being pushed onto the national stage, with people even whispering about him as a possible vice presidential pick. That means this roast wasn't just a joke. It felt more like a warning shot aimed straight at his growing ambitions. If Megyn Kelly's sharp precision and Tyrus's blunt, heavy-hitting humor already leave him struggling to keep his balance, how is he supposed to handle the non-stop pressure of a national campaign? Tyrus sees him as someone trying to act tough without ever showing a real scoreboard, while Megyn views him as a polished salesman pitching policies that don't quite deliver. And with that in mind, coaching a local Little League team might be a safer long-term plan for Walz than chasing the White House, especially if two outspoken critics can rattle him this easily.
With you in the audience, I watched him last night and I thought he was amazing. He is a spectacular speaker. He had that rally in the palm of his hand. He's way more effective than she is or Joe Biden is. For the first time that I can remember, had like a feeling of fear rise up in my throat because I know what he's permitting in Minnesota when it comes to children, which, you know, we talk about one of the defining issues of our time is the way we treat our animals, our livestock, the way we kill them. Because
Tyrus sees Tim Walz, who calls himself the coach of the people, as someone who might struggle to lead even a simple dodgeball team. In his view, the players would run in circles, the ball would sit untouched on the floor, and there'd be plenty of shouting but zero strategy. Megyn Kelly went even further. She peeled back the layers, exposing where Walz talks about toughness but shows inconsistency, and where he promises compassion but ends up creating confusion instead. Take the aftermath of the George Floyd tragedy as an example. Minnesota needed steady, confident leadership, but Walz often hesitated, reacted too slowly, or swung too far in the other direction, making things even more chaotic when clear guidance was desperately needed.
I want to fight him so bad. Why won't he just answer my tweets, my DMs, like just one arm? And I just want to slap the He's so weak. He brings nothing. If you were going to go after someone, man to man, hit him with a fact.
During critical moments, Tim Walz swung so wildly that it felt like he was trying to please everyone, yet ended up satisfying no one. He'd rush to comfort one side, but seemed too hesitant to upset the other, leaving everyone frustrated. Megyn was spot on when she said leadership built on pleasing everyone eventually pleases no one. It's like a waiter confidently bringing the wrong salad, insisting it's exactly what you ordered, while forgetting the rest of your meal. Under Walz's guidance, businesses never knew if they'd stay open or be blindsided by sudden rule changes, especially after his shaky handling of COVID in education. The irony is hard to miss. The former teacher who promised to make schools shine instead watched performance drop, curriculum debates explode, and costs soar. Even the people's coach couldn't keep his own classroom in order.
There was Oliver Wendell Holmes, and actually you can. I don't believe you're a lawyer, Governor Walz. You can yell fire in a crowded theater, and you can say hateful things because this is the United States of America, and it's right there in Amendment number 1. It's one of our favorites, was one of the founders' favorites, and was one of the founding principles upon which this country was built. There's no exception for speech. Tim Walz or Kamala Harris magically deemed hateful. But they've been pushing this, both of them, and a lot of Democrats have, for quite some time. These young Democrats on college campuses say that they believe that the Constitution doesn't protect hate speech.
Tim Walz's record doesn't exactly impress, especially for someone who built his whole image around being the educator-in-chief. Megyn nailed it, pointing out that it says a lot about a leader when the very trait they brag about becomes the area where they struggle most. It's like a chef boasting about their restaurant's success only to burn the soup in front of everyone. Walz presents himself as the friendly, everyman coach, but the charm and flannel can't hide when the results don't match up. Tyrus put it bluntly, Walz is like a movie trailer promising big thrilling action but delivering a slow, confusing drama instead. And Megyn's warning hit hard. If Walz can't manage Minnesota, how could he handle a national crisis? Promoting him would be like putting the person who ruined a company picnic in charge of the entire business as the next CEO.
Have anything. And here's the cold part. If Elon called him up and said, hey, Tim, you want a job? He would take it because that's what spineless. He would. And when he was questioned, he was like, I was just holding him in account. I respect him and I'm so happy to be working for X. He is the worst player on their team and they don't mind sending him out because
They're trying to get him off the table.
Yeah.
They're putting him out early so he can't be.
This isn't just about Tim Walz, it's about what he represents in modern politics. To critics like Tyrus and Megyn, he's a polished, marketable figure who leans heavily on image but struggles with consistency. Perfect for slick campaign ads, yes, but not so much when it comes to real governing. Their takedown exposed a style built more on branding than results, showing how the machine behind him depends on slogans and appearances instead of strong leadership. Supporters rushed to defend him, of course, but even they couldn't ignore the mounting list of issues that kept popping up. Meanwhile, Tyrus's blunt honesty and Megyn's sharp precision made the whole scene almost comical, like watching a boxer trip over his own shoelaces in the middle of a big fight.
Tim Walz. Okay, Jen Psaki, she's a talking head, whatever. But Tim Walz was recently the vice presidential candidate on the Democratic ticket. Maybe you would expect a little better, a little higher in terms of the rhetoric. You would be disappointed. Here is SOT 20.
In the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know. There will.
Look at him. So chipper. Don't worry, there will be news. In other words, Trump will die. Something to look for.
You almost start to feel a bit of sympathy for Tim Walz until you remember he's the governor, and every decision he makes affects millions across the state. That's why the humor lands so sharply. The stakes are real, and the consequences go far beyond a simple joke. Can Walz bounce back from this, or is he destined to be remembered as another overhyped politician who couldn't live up to his own image? For years, he sold himself as the friendly coach next door, running the state with patience and heart. But when Tyrus and Megyn tore that image apart, it came off like old wallpaper losing its glue. Supporters rushed to defend his compassion, his ideas, and his small-town values, but the critique left a mark that couldn't be ignored.
So Levine, look, he has a sports coat and a zip-up sweater underneath. No man wears that.
I may have done that in the past.
Yes.
I won't now, Tyrus.
No, and one day somebody's going to explain what a corporate income tax is to these people. It's not paid by this. It's not paid by the corporation. It's not like a building that goes, I've got to pay taxes. It's the worker.
It became almost effortless for critics to point out the confusion, inconsistencies, and long-winded speeches that never quite matched reality. When a leader's record reads like a highlight reel of hesitation and unclear choices, it's nearly impossible to convince people that strong leadership is happening behind the scenes. And the issue went far beyond Minnesota, even as Tim Walz was being mentioned as a rising national figure. He unintentionally became a lesson in what happens when polished branding is valued more than real substance. Up close, the coach-turned-leader story unraveled faster than a folding chair collapsing in a wrestling match, showing just how fragile the narrative really was. The image might look great in campaign ads, but that's exactly why this takedown hit so hard. It wasn't just entertaining, it exposed truths that many had been waiting to see revealed.